So our project with the abbreviation HEDO-LEARNIT means we are working on a harmonized European dermatology venerology undergraduate blended learning with implementation and training. There is one key policy issues of the EU member states and higher education institutions explicitly ask for better exploit the potential of information and communication technologies to enable more effective and personalized learning experiences, teaching and research methods, and increase the use of virtual learning platforms. Why did we decide to perform an Erasmus project? There is a commission, the subcommission of medical undergraduate training in the European Dermatology Forum, where we continuously review how is training going on in the different countries in Europe. And we made, it's a long time ago, already in 2007 and in 2010 again, questionnaires all over Europe. And it came out that there is a disastrous differentiation of contents, teaching hours, methods of teaching, quality of teaching, and the way of providing skills and practice. On the other hand, for the postgraduate training, for the residents going into their specialization, we have already a far advanced harmonization. Personally, I started when I was president of the UEMS to get a harmonized content, which took another 17 years of our group to set up a harmonization catalog for the residents training. 20 to 25% of all physician consultations refer to problems of the skin. So dermatovenerology is a very important core component in the undergraduate training of medical students. But later, after having been specialized, 3% of doctors in Europe are in dermatovenerology. And the better the medical undergraduate training at the university level, the better the diagnostic and therapeutic decisions finally. And when you consult another colleague because of a problem, it is better when the student already reached a level and he knows what is dermatology venerology covering, with what disease of the skin I have to contact another colleague. Our surveys have shown that the differences in lecture hours vary between 40 to 130 hours from country to country in Europe. So I show you just here that at October 2017, the training requirements for the specialty of dermatology and venerology were set up by the European Union of Medical Specialists, and here the section and board of dermatology and venerology. And it has been published in the European Academy of Dermatology and Venerology by us. And the same journal will also receive the results of our Erasmus Plus project in the near future. Another way of multiplying what we have achieved. So the undergraduate training content and the curriculum has to reflect the full spectrum of what is the curriculum on contents in the postgraduate training program. They cannot be in a conflict. If not, students would get a picture from our discipline in the lecture halls which is different from what we practice every day in an outpatient situation. And therefore, we have chosen the Erasmus academic networks to solve this problem via promoting European cooperation, enhancing quality of teaching and higher education, and networks shall address current, emerging, and future developments of the subject area. So we have now elaborated this content. We are going now to promote and to disseminate and to sustain. The dissemination and updating, we will discuss it later in more detail in Professor Bagot's talk, is the subcommission of undergraduate training within the European Dermatology Forum, and the EDF as the Association of Professors for Teaching in Europe in Dermatology and Venerology are behind sustaining the concept beyond the sponsored time of the project. We had different universities all over Europe, from the north, Helsinki, Magdeburg, down to Zagreb, Paris, Verona, Dessau in Germany, Brussels, Barcelona, and Swiss Ward 4, located in Alicante in Barcelona, providing the, let's say, electronic platform behind and managing the whole time the work in the cloud. So the content structure we started with, where in the undergraduate commission pre-selected 140 main diagnoses. A medical student should take really focus on during learning in his undergraduate training. And these should be either written as complete new ones, or we took pre-existing do-it diagnosis already written in a wiki style, but should be completely revised, updated, and re-edited. And then the new ones and the revised one should be written in a short version, in the wiki style, condensed, not more than 2 pages, really to make for the students learning easier, and a long version, more detailed, with more deeper information in a regular text style with about 3 to 4 pages. Some are even longer. So finally, the diagnosis chapters were changed in the starting phase and during Delphi consensus conferences in 2019. We have created 7 diagnosis chapters. They were increased from 114 to 142. We added a new chapter 8, which covers special conditions, symptoms, and syndromes. A new chapter 9 with general dermatology and basics, and then a complete updated and revised glossary from the Do-It catalog. Where are we now? How are we going to report, present, and sustain? We have the long versions and the short versions. The long versions will be installed on the Erasmus Plus project results plus platform. Also the short versions, but not directly. They are immediately installed, and we will talk about soon about that. And Professor Günther Burg is going to present on the Cyberderm platform. Also in the Cyberderm platform are the clinical slides in a thesaurus that when you go to the long version webbook, you can click and you come here to the thesaurus of clinical pictures. And so there are links provided. And the EDF, Professor Bagot is then going to talk about, is the guarantor for sustainability, continuous updates, and continuous review. Let me now come to the last part of my talk. This is, what did the students do in our project? In the different partner universities, we asked students to participate, and they had to fill out an incoming questionnaire that we get an impression, how are they learn, what are the way of learning, and what would they prefer. And they had electronic questionnaires at the beginning and during follow-up. And the follow-up, they were asked for short version and for long versions, if they are satisfied with them, and they could give comments how good they were prepared. We had all in all nearly 250 students we could require. The majority were females. For us, it was important to ask, are the chapters of diagnosis which we have written clear? And you see, very good and good, a high acceptance. The same if they understand epidemiology and how the structure of the diagnosis were, high acceptance. And when you compare the written text and the functionality of the implemented text on the website for efficacious learning of the topic, do you think you learn better than compared with standard textbooks? You see, it seems quite that they like it more than the standard textbook. So at this stage now, at the upcoming end of the project, which was because of the pandemic prolonged until the 30th of November, we will finally have a web book, which will be on the Erasmus result platform placed, the long versions. And this is a book, here you see the structure, of about 550 pages we have calculated so far. And the short versions, this content will be on the internet platform of Do It. We will listen soon by Professor Borg.
Now I'm coming to the second part of my talk. It's the platform, to explain and to give some more details on the CyberDerm or Do It platform. Do It, which means dermatology online with interactive teaching or technology, whatever you like. It's interactive, this platform. It's case-based, it's modular, entertaining, audiovisual, it's multilingual. At the moment, we have even 8 languages. It's globally accessible, free of charge for everybody. And it runs on my mobile devices, Android and iOS. Now you have seen this slide already. And the Do It platform follows a physiological way of learning and teaching, starting with orientation, with learning. I mean, there is no way from this one, the student has to learn, but he also wants to train and to test his knowledge and to get feedback and have a possibility for recapitulation at the end, before the examination. Students are a community with very heterogeneous backgrounds in terms of language, of financial resources. Some students have to job in parallel. In terms of intellectual capacities and in terms of knowledge. A inverted, flipped classroom, so a combination of face-to-face teaching and of online learning. But this is the key. There has to be a mentor. The teacher is a mentor who guides the students through his lecture He's open for feedbacks. He gets feedbacks on his iPad or whatever. Implement this into the daily lecture or weekly lectures or whatever. I took here a lecture, you see this on the ring, of 45 minutes, could be also 60 minutes, could be several lectures, whatever. So the scheme is, and this does not need very much change. One just has to do it. If you look for the green part of the ring, it's interactive presentation of new contents, and it takes maybe 30 minutes or 70% of the whole lecture time. And the second part, it's number 2, it's the more violet part. It takes 5 minutes with multiple choice questions. So at the end of his lecture or her lecture, the teacher puts multiple choice questions for the students. In the next section, so at the beginning of the next lecture, the teacher brings the results of the audience response assessment of the former lecture and discusses this for 5 or 10 minutes. And then he makes a reassessment for maybe 5 minutes, and then the results should be much better than it had been at the end of the former lecture. So this is a very simple plan which could each lecture follow in order to transfer and to apply interactive teaching in the today's lecturing scenario. Established systems are difficult to change. They are very inert, but we hope changes happen even at universities. Let's apply interactive learning.
In the first part of my talk, I will mainly present what was presented in the application, what was planned for the maintenance and the sustainability of this project. And at the end, I think we will have to have a discussion on how to plan what will be done for the future. First, it will have already been very clear that the EDF is the essential, indispensable associate partner, since EDF is a leader, the society of more than 200 academic teachers, leaders, and researchers in dermatovenerology. And so this project, from the beginning, perfectly fits into the mission of EDF, which is the harmonization of undergraduate training in Europe and the promotion of blended learning strategies. And from the beginning, it was always very clear that the EDF provides an ideal platform for the exploitation and the dissemination of the project in Europe, and to guarantee the insurance, the quality insurance by peer review. It is indispensable to have continuous peer review, sustainability and development in the program in the future. This program has been known by the harmonization project has been known by the members of EDF within numerous discussions during several years within the undergraduate training commission of the EDF. And all partners of the project have been chosen from the membership list of the EDF. And from the beginning, it was favored the countries with the highest impact in academic activities. And also it was important to represent different and balanced part of Europe, and also complementarity between the different countries in Europe. And now that the project is at the end, how can we move forward? As already told, the pandemic has demonstrated the need for such a project. Of course, when the project began, where there was nobody thought of such a situation that was brought by the pandemic with a lockdown and no courses during 18 months. But now that we have at the end, probably hope at the end of the pandemic, we know that it is extremely important to develop such a project of blended learning. Now we have to have discussion. How can the future be endorsed by EDF and possible other European societies? How can the promotion and the diffusion be performed? What are the channels of distribution? I propose several channels of distribution, but of course, this has to be discussed. How can be the contacts with the International Foundation of Medical Student Associations? How can be performed the regular updates? Of course, one important partner, as already told, is an undergraduate training commission, but it will be, of course, the role of EDF executive to decide how this will be done, what will be the responsible person, how will be these updates. Extremely important because it has already told that the students asked that the date of the update should be mentioned on the program, in the platform. It has been to mention that they do not want a program that are too old, and so regular updates, ideally each year, are important and should be mentioned on the platform. The implementation at national levels, of course, as I told, is very important. This will be the role of EDF country representatives. And as I already mentioned, there will be a need for discussions at each national levels because the problems and the degree of advancement of undergraduate training may be different according to different countries. And finally, also, it will be discussions will also raise the point of financial support. Do we need the financial support for the future after the end of the program? What will be the way to generate, to raise some financial support for the future? All these points need to be discussed. And finally, I would like to thank all participants for the program. It was really a great fun to participate to this many European colleagues during this program, to be interaction with EDF. And now I think this last slide can raise the discussion. We need to raise the discussion now, today, and also during further meetings. Thank you. Thank you very much.